Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Welcome to Cornbread and Roses. I'm your friendly neighborhood organizer, Austin. Tonight we got Jason with us.
Hello, comrades. Sorry for the delay.
It's all right, Jay. And we got Morgan here.
Hey.
And we got a couple guests tonight. We got Violet. Why don't you say hi, Violet?
Hello.
Succinct. And we also got Abby tonight.
Hi.
All right. So, yeah. If you haven't yet, like, share, subscribe. I'm supposed to say that. Comment, talk, all the algorithm stuff. Help us out. This is your small way to defeat fascism. And this week we are going to do a little rundown on some headlines and then dig in a little bit into the Alabama legislative session. So, why don't we get to it? So, something that's been coming out, I'm sure y'all have noticed, is that there is a lot of executive orders coming out. I am not even exactly sure where we're at. I swear it was 200 in the first day. And we'll put these in the description if I remember to do that post-production work. But the Brookings Institute is tracking these. But more interestingly to me is that there's also a litigation tracker out there. So I know California set aside about $50 million to combat what's happening, what's currently happening right in everybody's face. So good on them. Thank God for lawyers. We got to have lawyers, How many revolutionary lawyers do y'all know? I know a couple.
Lenin was a lawyer.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
And I think Castro was a lawyer. Ho Chi Minh, though, I think he was a cook.
He was a dishwasher in New York City.
New York dishwasher. That's right.
There's a little plaque in the restaurant where he worked that says
Man,
worked here.
We got to take a road trip up there and eat up in that spot. So shout out all the revolutionary lawyers out there, because we need y'all. And if y'all want to get in contact with us, email is right below my face. Hit us up. What else we got? We have, and we dealt with this a little bit, Jason. The Huntsville area log cabin Republicans. They're back in the news as they hate themselves. Who doesn't like a good bit of self-hate out there? But the Huntsville log cabin Republicans stand behind Trump and anti-DEI policy. So, I guess they'll be last on the wall. I don't know. But organization founded in 1977. And this is interesting right here, how they phrase that, which is not our experience, Jason. LG, which represents members of the LGBTQ plus. They like to leave the T out, from what I understand.
Go ahead.
I imagine it would mostly be cisgender in white.
Oh yeah. They paid about $10K to be at the Pride event, this past Pride event at in Huntsville, and where we got to go to a counter Pride event, and Jason did some awesome tabling, had snacks. Telling y'all folks, if you want to change the world, bring snacks.
Yeah, and that's not even talking about the role that the log cabin Republicans and their leader Andy Blaylock played in harassing that poor young woman that worked at the Space and Rocket Center here in Huntsville, and ultimately driving her out of the state.
He had a hand in that too, huh?
Yeah, he was one of the ones posting on Facebook about it and drumming up the hatred against this woman who was just working her job and living her life and not harming a soul.
That's very interesting. I knew there were, their name escapes me now, but I remember the person that initially started raising a fuss. I don't remember them being named Blaylock. They were like Dalton or something like that. I'm probably misremembering, but anyway, so the log cabin Republican leader got up in that NASA employees business, huh?
Yeah, he was helping to lead the charge.
Well, fuck him. I wish nothing but the best for that man. Nothing but the best. Hey, who says we ain't doing the right thing down here? You know, look at that. Activists protest ICE and Trump in Albertville. Immigrants make America great. That they do. You know, we are. Well, there's only the first people. They're the only people that ain't immigrants. If you want to get, a little down to it, we're at least descended from immigrants. However you want to phrase that, right? But they had demonstrators out there. I was not able to go. Here, we're going to play this little video real quick. I was not able to go, but earlier this year there was a little fiasco with buses and folks in Albertville going, where are all these people coming from, and they're getting bussed in and all this hoopla, and all they are doing is they ain't got cars and they trying to get to work, so and right after this I want to hear from you, Jason, about yesterday. And they got a little grip of people out there.
Yeah, for our radio listeners, it showed a truck driving by the crowd that was protesting in Albertville, and it looked to be a good 150 people.
Oh God, I think it's more than that. It looked at least 200. At least 200. Like, that was a good bit of people. But yeah, so people are out in Alabama. People are fighting back against ICE and this ridiculous immigration situation that is, has been used by right wingers since 1798, and we're seeing it again. They just roll these rhetorical, mumbo jumbo out saying they're coming for your jobs and they're criminals and they're bad and yada yada yada. Same old rigmarole. But Jason, you got to attend something here locally. Was it today or yesterday?
It was last night. So some DSA members and I got to participate in a pro-immigration, anti-ICE rally that happened in Huntsville. So it was well attended. There was probably between 100 and 150 people there. We marched around the park and chanted slogans and cursed at ICE, and we got more claps and support than hecklers. There were a couple of hecklers, but they went away quickly enough. And yeah, it was a good time. We made contact with the leaders or the organizer of the event, which is an impressive young man named Alex. And he is looking at holding future rallies that we will keep y'all plugged into.
Outstanding. You know, it's funny. I was reading a statistic today that even Republicans don't necessarily agree with what's happening. There's something on the order of 60% think that all this business with ICE and stuff going on is not good. And it's very interesting, like the immigration issue and the trans issue that been cooked up and everything. 54% of Republicans believe in some live and let live, you know? So it highlights that it's a minority of rich folks just trying to stir up trouble and divide us all up. And we will continue to see that, and it's on steroids right now. But it's funny that even the Republicans, a majority of Republicans don't even agree with this stuff. Oh, which, you know, take hope in that, take heart in that. You find some common ground with, you know, I like to say that all your future comrades are to your right. So you can find some stuff to talk about with them, find some shared things out there with working class folks that might need a little bit more education, a little more information, you know. So fear not. There's more of us than there are them. All right. Now, this thing right here, this made me laugh. Oh my goodness. The declassified CIA guide to sabotaging fascism is suddenly viral. What do you know, folks? What do you know? The World War II era simple sabotage field manual is full of steps that office workers can take to resist leadership. And I found a really interesting link on Reddit, and I forgot to put it in the notes. But yeah, simple sabotage field manual right here. You can go and download it. It's declassified in 2008. Describes ways to train normal people to purposely annoying telephone operators, dysfunctional train conductors, befuddling middle managers, blundering factory workers, unruly movie theater patrons, and so on and so on. In other words, teaching people to do their jobs badly, to do what they accuse us of being lazy and whatnot. But yeah, unplug the coffee machine. That's one of the tips out there. And you know, I can let y'all take it upon yourselves to do some, you know, reading in the bathtub, what have you. But God's intro was written by William Wild Bill Donovan, who was the head of the Office of Strategic Services during World War II, which later inspired the creation of the CIA. We appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all for writing this. The motivating factor for writing
praise the CIA.
Huh?
Let's not be too quick to praise the CIA.
I'm praising them on this one.
The OSS, rather. I guess that's okay.
But yeah, we appreciate it. Oh, they'll sell us the rope. Yeah, they will. So yeah, back to it. Now, there's a race going on in Tuscaloosa, three-way race for the District 1 City Council. And it's due, and we got three folks. We got the incumbent, and then we got Kay Chandler and Joe Eatman. Now, from reading this, it seems like Kay Chandler is pretty legit, and ran before. Regional organizer for the African American Civil Rights Heritage Sites Consortium. She already ran against Wilson in 2021, but lost a runoff by fewer than 50 votes. People say that voting don't matter. I mean, come on. Voting definitely matters. You might, with the Electoral College and all, feel a bit, removed from the process, but right there, 50 votes. You can talk to 50 people in an afternoon. So one volunteer could have swung that election for her. One volunteer in one day could have swung that election.
Yeah, I just want to say that, there are limits to what we can expect from electoralism, but I think it's vital to participate in electoralism. And people say, like, oh, if voting did anything, it would be illegal. And I always respond, well, throughout America's history and now, it has always been illegal for somebody to vote. So, like, they have regulated it, and they have excluded lots of people. And even now, like, felons aren't allowed to vote, whereas in other places they are, notably Australia. And so yeah, I think it's vital to vote and to remember that it is something powerful that you can do in addition to other non-electoral things.
Absolutely. Has anybody had any experience being part of a campaign as a volunteer or anything?
I have.
All right.
Done my share of door knocking.
Yeah. A fundamental skill that we will definitely be needing to use.
You get some threats in Alabama if you're knocking on doors for the wrong crowd.
I'll just have to make sure I wear a uniform. So yeah. So they're running, and it seems like the incumbent came and spoke out against unionization down at the Mercedes plant. And so yeah.
Well, that's strike 1, 2, and 3.
Right. Yeah. As a Jolly Green Giant saying right there, voting should be a constitutional right. You'd think it is, right?
Absolutely. And I include undocumented people and felons and even teenagers in that.
I would like to see the voting age lowered, to be honest. Like if somebody's out there working and paying taxes, yeah. Why
Absolutely.
not be able to vote?
That's taxation without representation. We're supposed to be opposed to that in this country.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm sure DC and Puerto Rico want to talk about that as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we also got some folks to welcome back home. We've got 22, as a matter of fact, to welcome back home for their actions on January 6th. Somebody said it's about time. Some of these folks, they drink the Kool-Aid, the big lie rhetoric repeated over and over. And, I have a little sympathy for them. that the con man condom. But some of these folks definitely, like we got a leader of the local, is it the 3%ers? What group is he with? Let me see here. No, the Oath Keepers. There we go. There's so many right-wing groups out there, paramilitary types. I can't keep up with all of them. But yeah, the Alabama chapter of the Oath Keepers is back. Well, ain't that something? Well, we got 22 back. Y'all, it's a pretty lengthy article. It goes into just about everybody that's been released. And some of them just been arrested in like November.
Some of them are already committing crimes and getting arrested again.
That's true. That's true. One of them up north, one of them got shot. I know that. And then I think one of them just had a DUI and killed some folks, I believe. And I think they're getting sentenced for like 10 years. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a common miss with people, which is that, like, just because your sentence was commuted and or pardoned doesn't mean the record goes away. It's still there.
Well, with them scrubbing all the data as much as they can out there, yeah, it's it might not be there soon. It'll at least be on the news until they start shutting down news websites. But yeah,
I'm already hearing CDC is and USAID are getting a bit. It's getting a little rough over there.
there's already been thousands on data.gov. There's already been thousands of data sets scrubbed off of it. And I believe that women's healthcare data that started being collected in like 1990 has been wiped. So, yeah, there we go.
Now, if you want something more humorous, there was also an OPM directive that people should not have pronouns in their email signature.
That's focusing on the important stuff.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's just part of the attempt to erase trans people from public life to the extent possible.
I have to work 60 hours a week and I can't pay my bills, but at least I don't have to deal with people's pronouns being in their email.
Yeah, it's absurd.
You know, what a horrible burden to bear, the English language.
I need to put my pronouns in my email at work and see how that goes over.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a he, him, not necessarily.
Oh, I'm sure they would love it. Like, it seems everybody's on this hating how words work. You know, they don't like definitions of words. They don't like pronouns. They make up things like, you know, the sky isn't blue anymore. Here we are. You know, it's a ministry of truth out there doing their work.
Was it truthiness that Colbert mentioned some time ago?
Yes. Yeah. He got that as word of the year. I'm gonna keep saying I need to come up with some words to say. Maybe I'll get something on the Webster's word of the year. But here's something. We all get to eat this shit all together now. All of us is going to be enjoying 25% more shit.
Oh no! The funniest part is that it exempts Canadian oil. I think it gets 10% tariff on Canadian oil.
Well, those Canadians don't. They got some other plans for us.
Oh yeah, I think there's already retaliatory tariffs that are coming into effect from Mexico and Canada.
Yes, I think I saw that with Canada. And with the oil, with the U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, Chevron is exempt for that.
Of course, the little carve outs they got going for folks.
Yeah, I went and had an avocado sandwich at my local LGBT owned restaurant today because I was like, oh, there's going to be a 25% increase on avocados. Better enjoy them while I can. I love avocados.
Yeah, I know some people cilantro that people think tastes like soap.
Yeah, cilantro. I love cilantro. So whatever, it's genetic. You have the genes to taste cilantro like soap, or you don't. And thankfully, I don't. I love cilantro.
My mama had that gene, and I like, when I was a kid, I was like, "What is she talking about? It tastes like soap." Like, but yeah. Then I learned all these years later about that, and I think everybody deserves some avocado toast, with some coffee. That's a fine breakfast, and I will fight for that for everybody.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think America's going to have to learn a hard lesson about it. It matters who you vote for, and it matters who's in office. And there are lots of things that are going to get worse before they get better. And 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian goods, and then retaliatory tariffs in response, I think is going to have a bad effect on the economy.
So yeah, and Alabama specifically, like Mexico is, because of car parts and whatnot, a big trading partner, and I don't know if y'all have noticed when you go grocery shopping how many products are from Mexico for food. That's going to happen. We might not get our eggs from Mexico, but yeah, we do get quite a bit. But what I find interesting is that Canada is planning to target red states with specific tariffs, and possibly swing states as well, but definitely red states. So
good for them.
I mean, if you want something even funnier, Google Trends was noting that there was a spike in what's a tariff after the election.
I did see that. It jumped from like 1 as the average or whatever to 100. It's like, y'all waited this long? Y'all couldn't have been November 4th. Y'all couldn't have been Googling what is a tariff November 3rd, November 2nd, November. No, y'all had to wait till after. I hope they followed up with what is the Great Depression with that, because, with the way things are going, in my opinion, my unprofessional analysis and layman's understanding of the world, feels like a Great Depression is going to come about from these tariffs. And there's going to be small businesses that collapse. There's going to be, for instance, we get 67% of our imported oil from Canada. So fuel will go up, and then that's going to put cost into our logistics system. So I don't think they understand like what they're doing. I really don't. Like, they just think, oh, we're gonna put tariffs, and then the Treasury will have more money. I think it's going to cause quite the opposite. I think people are going to get laid off, and I think sales are going to sag.
So
But
the usual thing that happens with tariffs is that the cost of goods goes up. The amount of, I know I'm saying this, I'm trying to be specific. The amount of crony capitalism in terms of goods you can't get anymore because you can't import them also goes up. So like something that would usually cost like $50 goes up to like $150 because they have a monopoly on that good.
yep, exactly. There's secondary and tertiary effects.
It's because Trump does not understand what a tariff is for.
No.
I mean, the basic of this is that they want to do tariffs while lowering taxes on high earners and big business.
Yeah.
To try to get the money back. And then they're also going to cut social services.
Just trying to hoover it all up and,
Let's see.
But
Well,
Violet,
you mentioned
yeah, go ahead, Violet.
you mentioned the Great Depression, or one of the largest crises of the capitalist system. And the U.S. imperialism is even before Trump going into a direction of a growing crisis. Let's see. Trying to think of how to phrase this. Well, whatever I had is gone.
Into the ether.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how most of my thoughts are. 9 of them are flitter away into the air, and I get one out every now and then. But I do find it interesting how suddenly, let me try to pull this off. Canada, a very bad abuser. Oh God, that's my terrible Trump impression. Trump said, complaining about the current of fentanyl and migrants across the northern U.S. border. Now that's the first I've heard this. I heard it all about down in Mexico and stuff, southern border, but now it's happening in the northern border. Now it's happening in Canada. So
I thought the fentanyl was coming from Asia.
through Mexico, apparently. Probably not, directly on boats, like on one of the, LA ports, maybe. That's where 50% of our imports come in at anyway. So, yeah.
They'll say anything to justify what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Just lie like a rug.
And it's all about punishing people for daring to be foreign.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was
No.
going to say, one of the things I don't understand is this whole idea of we're throwing immigrants under the bus, but the same people who are voting for Trump are the same people that are using a lot of them are the same people that are using these immigrants for labor in their businesses. So I'm from Mobile, Alabama, and every landscape company there is full of immigrants. I have lived and worked with these immigrants for a while, and I know that quite a few of them may or may not be legally here. But it's just strange to me thinking about the bosses of those companies knowing how they vote and knowing what the person they vote for stands for and what they're going to try to do with immigration, and just trying to come to terms with you're voting for somebody that's going to cut off your access to cheap immigrant labor that's easily exploitable.
Well, this level of rampant intimidation, it serves to, well, it's a direct attack on efforts to organize these workers. Because if there's this constant threat of deportation, it's a lot more difficult to make militant labor action.
That's a great point.
Outstanding point.
Yep.
Yeah, many of them were worried about deportation, among other things.
It's a trope. They usually it's usually immigrants, poor people, and teachers, or the education system.
Well, they're coming after everybody. I mean, if you're not up on your Curtis Yarvin neo-Gothic philosophy, check that man out. I don't even want to even classify him as a man, to be honest. Monster would be better way to put that. They want you in chains, folks. You don't have to believe me, but you read that, you read their manifestos and all that. They want you in chains.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're about to take it pretty hard here. And I cannot blame, the other governments from reacting, planning, so buckle up, folks. It's going to be a ride.
It's going to be a ride with the trade stuff. It's also going to be a ride with, I foresee the FBI being weaponized.
Yeah.
Because it's actively being purged.
No, and that's the funny thing is like how many folks, and they keep running into roadblocks with this stuff, which is good. Like y'all saw, I've noticed that the federal workers out there have really been standing in solidarity with each other. And oops, my back.
Oh, you're back. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. That's what I get for touching the wires in the middle of a show. But the federal workers have really been standing in solidarity. They're meeting. There's meetings here in Alabama today. They're suing. They're listening to the lawyers they got. They're listening to the lawyers they got who are telling them all these memos and stuff from these poison servers that they're plugging into classified networks and whatnot. Yeah. It's not going, we ain't going down without a fight, folks. And y'all ain't alone out there. You're not alone. You might be overwhelmed and you're already working 2 jobs and stuff and all that, but you're not alone.
I got some funny news on the federal side.
What's that?
I got a friend of mine that works at FBI, and their personnel system crashed today from the amount of people requesting their files. For potential use in a class action lawsuit.
So All right then, because I know what today or yesterday, Musk pretty much has every citizen's social security number now, and a whole bunch of history and PII with that.
I think that was the OPM stuff. There was also the Treasury stuff as well.
Yeah, he's plugged into both of them. You know,
Which there's no reason for that access to be provided.
no, it's just Nazis doing the world leader of Nazis is doing Nazi shit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Yeah, I foresee rather soon there's going to be a lawsuit because they're trying to fire thousands of FBI agents.
you know, does that sound like a smart idea? You know, I mean, that sounds like a movie, right? Like,
Oh,
is there movies where like ex FBI agent takes revenge and shit like that?
probably somewhere. They put out a survey. They want to know every person who was involved in the January 6 proceedings.
Yeah. That could be in the thousands.
Yes, it's going to be. So that's the funny good news from terrible way.
I hope the FBI fights them. That'll be great. I'd be very happy with that. Go fight that. Go fight the fascist FBI. That's a good use of your time. But yeah, anybody got any other thoughts on the tariff situation and the imperial nature of it?
I did see some Canadians booing the national anthem, the U.S. national anthem, at I believe it was a hockey game earlier today. It was very heartwarming for me.
That was backwards, anyways.
What is it? Not go. Like, blame Canada. There we go. Bring it back. Blame Canada. So in some other interesting news here, something that Trump tried to take away, you know, one of his concepts of plans here, but the Affordable Care Act enrollment hits a record in Alabama, but subsidies are in peril. Enrollment in the ACA plans have soared thanks to subsidies that make the plans more affordable. Those may be gone at the end of the year. Y'all want to bet on if they're going to be there or not?
Not especially.
Not very high.
Yeah, I'd bet they're not going to be there by the end of this year.
It's not a record. I would be particularly happy to win.
But a record 465,463 Alabamians signed up for the health insurance offered through the Affordable Care Act through January 4th, according to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. This number represented an increase of 80,000 people, 20% over last year, which also broke the previous year's record. Yeah, single payer health care. I'm very happy that these folks are covered right now, and I hope beyond hope that you'll have to excuse me, my co-host over here. Hope beyond hope that somehow these subsidies make it through, but I just don't see it happening with this administration. I mean, he wants to get rid of the whole system. They tried to freeze it this past week. Thank goodness some judge had some good sense and stopped all that nonsense. But this will severely impact millions upon millions of people and cause death. It'll kill people if this goes away. So, yeah. So, I think we're about to get to the meat and potatoes of things. Got a few more things that happened this past week. Lots happened this past week, clearly, every week. But Alabama faces a Democratic cliff as deaths surpass births. We also have Mayor Woodfin in Birmingham. He's come out against the anti-DEI policies of the current administration. We got our second prison get at 60% funding. So we're going to have the world's most expensive prison, and then we're going to have the world's second most expensive prison here in Alabama. That's that warms your heart, doesn't it? So who needs Guantanamo Bay immigrant detention camps, concentration camps, when we're going to have two big old prisons that need filling up here in Alabama? So with that, I think we're going to try to dig into, with what time we have left, dig into the Alabama legislative session. Oh, yeah, and Doge is official. We got Doge takes over the U.S. Digital Services Committee, which was created a few years ago. So now, it goes from Musk to Trump's chief of staff to Trump now, officially. You know, how many jobs does Elon Musk have? 0. He has 0 real jobs, y'all. But yeah, we're going to start with the ACLU releasing their legislative agenda for 2025. ACLU of Alabama releases the 2025 legislative agenda. Priorities include criminal justice reform, voting rights, reproductive justice, and protecting First Amendment freedoms. So good on y'all. Alabama has one of the lowest voter turnout rates in the country. In November, only 58.5% of registered voters in the state cast a ballot in the presidential election, the lowest rate since 1988. These statistics result from the state's lack of early voting. Additionally, the state should implement early voting and expand assistance for absentee ballot voters who are blind, disabled, or unable to read and write, ensuring that every voter can participate in the election process with equal accessibility. Yeah, this is it's not Jim Crow, but it sure does rhyme with Jim Crow, the way we still got voting done in this state.
As much as I support early voting, I'm not sure it's entirely fair to say that the low turnout is due to the early voting. I'm sure early voting would increase the numbers. But whenever I think about not voting, it's because there aren't any candidates to vote for on the ballot. On my ballot, there were only 2 Democrats, and one of them was Kamala Harris, and the other was Greg Griffin running for the state Supreme Court Justice or Chief Justice. So there was 1 national office, 1 statewide office, and 0 local candidates running. It was Republicans running unopposed on the rest of the ballot. And I sincerely thought about not bothering to turn out this time around because I thought, what difference does it make? There's nobody to vote for.
It is disheartening. I encountered a similar situation. I think there's Harris and one other Democrat running for county commissioner, Guy Sotomayor. So, yeah, same thing. We have, a Democratic Party in this state that is dysfunctional. To be nice, I'll say, and they got a couple years till the next round of voting, and we shall see what they can do, folks. We shall see. But if you want to run for office, hey, email us. Let's talk, because DSA is definitely trying to get folks out there running for office on a platform based on working families. And if you're interested, please hit us up. But sooner than that are the local elections that are coming up this year. We already talked about Tuscaloosa, but there's several others. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 70% of local elections, county elections, are being done this year. So keep an eye out for that and run for that. It's only $25 to $50 in some places to get on the ballot. You don't have to gather signatures. You don't got to do none of that. You just say, I'm going to run, drop $50 off down at the probate judge, I think, and you're on the ballot. So, and that stuff matters too. Like, that's where the police budget is managed. That's where, you manage things at schools, food, housing density. Like, there's power in taking power. So, yeah, I encourage everyone out there to run for office. Everyone. You ain't even got to be a doctor to be the coroner. You can just be like some dude. Anyway, the ACLU is also pushing for continued criminal legal reform, beginning with holding the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles and Alabama Department of Corrections accountable for the increasingly inhumane conditions in the already exacerbated prison system. The group will also be rejecting any bills that create harsher penalties for people, regardless of immigration status. Another push from the ACLU will be allowing incarcerated individuals to attend their parole hearings virtually. Currently, the parole board does not allow those seeking parole to attend their hearings. The majority of Alabamians support the freedom to make personal health care decisions without interference from politicians. However, in recent years, Governor Ivey and lawmakers have taken actions that prevent individuals from accessing reproductive health care. Protecting reproductive rights is essential to ensuring individual equality and autonomy. Therefore, the ACLU is interested in legislative efforts to further ensure the right to abortion, to protect the privacy and healthcare decision-making rights of every Alabamian, free from interference. Additional support is needed for midwives and birthing centers to expand access to maternal health care. In 2023, the March of Dimes reported that nearly 30% of women in Alabama did not live within 30 miles of a birthing hospital, compared to the U.S. average of just under 10%. So 9% compared to 30%. The ACLU views the right of individuals to make their own reproductive decisions as one to be guaranteed, along with presumptive eligibility for pregnant people under Medicaid to ensure necessary care. Politicians should not interfere in personal health care decisions, particularly when it comes to abortion, and any restrictions on medication or travel for abortion services must be rejected. Just they're tracking folks already. They've been tracking folks. If you got one of those period tracker apps on your phone, I bet $1 that they got access to that information if they haven't bought it or some other nefarious manner gotten into it. Recent actions by Alabama's policymakers have challenged the First Amendment rights of residents, including limitations on peaceful assembly and efforts to restrict educators and students' ability to learn and discuss topics related to race and gender. Additionally, the ACLU rejects legislative efforts to limit classroom curricula that undermine academic freedom and deny students a full education, and states that any legislation that seeks to infringe upon First Amendment rights must be opposed. During the session, the ACLU will advocate for the rights of teachers and students to access and share diverse perspectives in the classrooms. Additionally, the organization will work to ensure that librarians are not criminalized for their professional duties and to protect the rights to peaceful assembly or free speech for all Alabamians. And y'all seen this already this past week. They tried to erase the Tuskegee Airmen from history. We've been battling DSA, been battling with the library situation for over a year now, and Pentagon just got rid of Black History Month along with a whole bunch of other months. So yeah, they're trying to erase history, and yeah, straight Orwellian. How do y'all feel about the ACLU's priorities?
Sounds good to me. Prison reform is especially a subject that is near and dear to my heart. I think it's monstrous the way that prisons are treated in Alabama. The crowding, the danger. We have one of the most dangerous prison systems in the country. There is a documentary coming out called The Alabama Solution, which talks about America's prisons and Alabama's prisons in particular, and includes interviews with prisoners. And it was debuted at the Sundance Festival, I think, this week. And so it'll be released soon. So the Alabama Solution. So look out for that.
Right now, the Alabama solution is build more prisons. But we can change that, folks. I mean, what could we repurpose a prison into? We could fill it up with dirt and turn it into a vertical farm. How about that? That'll work.
Let's say tear them down brick by brick. My favorite part of the revolution is going to be when we bust everybody out of prison.
I'm still curious on like how they spend so much money on prisons.
Well, they ain't using prison. They ain't using prison labor to build it. Clearly, and they ain't using unions either. Thank God. But yeah, we got $1 billion, and it'll be past $2 billion prisons. They'll be past that. I think they're already estimated that the first one was supposed to be $1 billion, and now it's looking like it's going to be $3 billion. So this one. So yeah.
I wanted to go back and revisit the period tracker app thing. In one of our local groups, they had the idea, and we kind of spread it around everywhere, that everybody and their grandma would download period tracker apps and fill it full of faulty data, just to mess up the system a little bit. So that's
sounds like
strategy.
It sounds like you've been reading the CIA field manual to sabotage. The new one, version 2.0 that just got dropped.
You're muted, Alex, Austin. But yeah,
you can call me Alex. That's fine. That didn't hurt my feelings.
Sorry. I don't know why I called you Alex just now.
Well, we know we got a good friend, Alex. They were on last week.
Well, I met an Alex last night too, so there's too many Alexes in my life.
And Alexander Webb, for he had no more worlds to conquer.
That's right.
Something like that. But yeah, we're going to finish up with this little article here. Don't bet on a lottery. I see what they did there. Very good. That was very good. AL.com. Don't bet on the lottery. 4 issues Alabama lawmakers may tackle in 2025 and 4 they won't. So, yeah, lottery, not a safe bet. It almost passed last year, almost by 1 vote. Gudger said the Republican caucus, which holds 27 of 35 Senate seats, is about evenly split on a lottery proposal. Gudger, that's a name, ain't it? Gudger said that sounds like something you catch, like, oh man, I called me a Gudger. I'm walking around with Gudger. I need some medicine. Gudger said that is not enough support to justify advancing a bill to the floor for a vote. It takes 21 senators, 3/5 to approve a constitutional amendment to expand gambling. Gudger said he wants to avoid another near miss on a lottery proposal, which is popular with voters. I never want to see what happened at the end of last session happen again. We're that close, and it didn't pass. So, yeah. The House approved a compromise bill. The bill got 20 votes in the Senate, 1 short of passing. Man, just teasing us. So, yeah. So, they're going to put that on the back burner. How y'all feel about a lottery?
Mixed feelings.
Also mixed. Usually it's a tax on the poor.
Yeah, that's my concern. It's basically a regressive tax, but at the same time, it's a lot of revenue that's leaving the state because people are buying lottery tickets anyway. People are gambling anyway.
Yep. Like life, most things, it's a mixed bag, ain't it?
It's very mixed. I mean, it's just very mixed.
And I say that as somebody who, I feel that way about gambling generally, and I say that as somebody who is a degenerate gambler and loves to gamble.
Abby, you cross over into Florida, play them lotteries down there?
No, but I've had a lot of people request for me to purchase various tickets.
So you got to upcharge them. That's the trick. Like, oh yeah. Like 10% traveler's fee on that stuff.
Yeah, or they ask me to see if they won, and I scratch it off, and then I go buy another one because they won $700, but I just keep the $700.
Yeah, I'll scratch. I'll do a live scratching with you. Oh yeah, you keep the one, keep the loser in your pocket and just switch them out on the live cam. That sounds like a good little grip. Violet, you ever played the lottery?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, the bingo mafia in this state probably that's who I blame for the lottery not getting passed. So yeah. Next, we got crime likely to be a priority. Oh, Ledbetter said the House will propose a set of bills aimed at fighting crime. Oh, so like raising the minimum wage? Would that fight crime, y'all?
No, they're talking about elevating crimes based on your immigration status. So if you are undocumented and you commit a misdemeanor, you'll be charged with a felony. And if you're charged with a felony, you're charged with a worse felony. Like instead of getting a class this, you get a class that instead.
Yeah, you can get level all the way up to a super felony. It's what a fantastic system. Everybody equal under the eyes of justice. He said the bills are about 70% written. They sound like college students that are pulling an all-nighter right now. It said the bills are about 70% written and expects an announcement on specifics in the first couple of weeks of session. So, hey, if you bug these folks enough, they might not be able to finish writing their crime and punishment bills. We'll have a package of probably about 6 or 7 bills. Our staff, see, they don't even know what they're doing. Like, is it 6 or is it 7? Like, shouldn't you know? It's in a couple days. We'll have Ledbetter said the plan will include legislation to target crime in cities, including Birmingham, by establishing task force of state, county, and city law enforcement. Ledbetter said the idea is to expand on the success of the Metro Area Crime Suppression Team launched last year in Montgomery. So, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, Alabama Attorney General's Office, Montgomery Police Department, the Montgomery Sheriff's Office, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives joined forces. That's a super team. Avengers Assemble. So, yeah. I don't think this is going to work.
It's like the Avengers of racism.
Damn straight. Damn straight. So yeah, and I think there's some bills in there to also work with ICE and some other agencies to supersize this immigration extradition policies. Now we're getting into the real stuff. Cell phones in schools. Lawmakers likely to act. Gudger says he expects the main thrust of the Senate will be legislation on protecting Alabama family values. While that includes protecting people from crime, it also involves education, ironic, and harm to children and teens caused by the overuse of smartphones and social media. Besides distracting students in the classroom, Gudger said there are deeper concerns. The more social media platforms that are out there, the more that directly parallels people cutting themselves, depression, anxiety. I mean, that is a valid point. There is some truth to that
There are addictive qualities to social media.
Absolutely.
No, that's completely different than privacy concerns.
Or education concerns.
Like, they're separate things.
Yeah. The more social media that's out there and the more connectivity we give them through technology, the more disconnected that I think adolescents feel, especially in girls up to the ages of 16. So, they're using
this pretext
language. Yeah, they're using this language of protecting kids and stuff, but me personally, I don't think that's what it's really about.
They're using a pretext of them not understanding technology or social media as a way to fracture groups.
Yeah,
social groups.
Well, I just think it's frustrating that, especially if you're talking about taking something away from like children, you're not really including them in the conversation because they might have a different experience of it than the one that you're kind of attributing to them, even if it has to do with mental health or whatever. And it's important to like make them a part of that and ask them, hey, are you happy with how much you're using social media? Or what are your problems and issues with it?
And also,
yeah,
they're like, okay, when I was going to school and in college, there was already like restrictions on use of cell phones in class anyways.
Yeah, we have the same thing up here. So I'm not understanding it. Like, the kids talk to me about their limited ability to use cell phones already. So, it's
which, I mean, the restriction on cell phone use in classes, that's valid because you want a good learning environment. But this seems different.
I concur. You know, I think we understand why on some of this is you look at TikTok and the rise of Red Note as well. By the way, all like kids around here, they own that Red Note now. Like they like it. And you know, if you notice, like TikTok, even though they said it's not banned and all that good stuff, it's not on the App Store anymore. So, yeah. So, next up, immigration, a high priority, of course. Gudger and Ledbetter said both chambers are working on legislation on illegal immigration. Gudger said the emphasis would be on people in the country illegally who commit crimes. He said, you know, we already got a criminal justice system. So, yeah. He said he expects proposals to support the initiatives of President Trump in Congress. Alabama U.S. Senator Katie Britt is a main sponsor of the Lake and Riley Act, which passed the Senate on Inauguration Day, and is the first bill signed into law under Trump. Riley was a 22-year-old nursing student killed by an undocumented immigrant last year in Georgia. Lake and Riley Act would require federal authorities to detain migrants accused of crimes such as shoplifting, as well as offenses that injure or kill someone, and would grant states new legal standings to challenge federal immigration decisions. They reinventing the wheel over here. The Alabama legislature has not dealt much with immigration since 2011, when a new Republican majority passed a sweeping bill, HB 56, aimed at driving out people who were in the state illegally. Federal courts blocked much of that law, including a provision that said police had to detain people from traffic stops if they suspected them of being in the country illegally. This year, Gudger says he expects bills in the House and Senate. Violent crimes is what we're focusing on immigration reform. There is a plethora of bills. That's a big word for Gudger's. Plethora of bills in the House and the Senate. Gudger said the goal is common sense package that does not target immigrants who have legal documents and are here to work. Well, they scooped up a veteran the other day up north. Yeah. We don't want to do this where we look like we're not worker friendly. If somebody has a work visa or a green card, we don't obviously want them to think that we're against them. We are for people coming into Alabama the correct way, into the United States the correct way. So, and as Jace noted, you get upgraded charges. So, but we already got a justice system and cops that do all this. So it's just extra punitive is the situation.
There's a bill for LA to create the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency to create a task force to expedite the removal of undocumented people from the state.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the bills in the hopper for this session, which starts on Wednesday, February the 5th.
Yep. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm planning to be down there February 5th with the folks at All Track. They're doing a march that day, and they're also meeting with legislators. So I need to learn. What am I supposed to wear, y'all? I don't know what to wear. Should I try to wear a suit? Should I wear a combat uniform? Maybe the combat uniform. How about that? My dress blues are not ready or not fit for eyes for folks. I'd have to spend 3 days getting those things together. But machine gun conversion devices, bill likely to pass. Gudger and Ledbetter said they expect lawmakers to pass a bill to create a state law against devices that convert semi-automatic guns to automatic fire, making the weapons more deadly. The devices, sometimes known as Glock switches, can be made on 3D printers and are a factor in rising gun violence. They are illegal under federal law, but police and state prosecutors say a state law is needed against what they say is a growing hazard. Semi-automatic guns with a Glock switch can fire up to 20 rounds in a second. I think they got that rate of fire wrong and are hard to control, officials say. In December, the Birmingham City Council put a Glock switch ban at the top of its agenda. Representative Phil Insler, Republican Montgomery, has pre-filed his bill to ban machine gun conversion devices, which passed the House last year, but did not come up for a vote in the Senate. Cutter said a Glock switch ban is important for public safety. There's going to be a lot of talk about it, but I would say that has a favorable review, I would imagine, from most of our Senate members. Ledbetter said he expects a Glock switch ban to pass and said it would help police keep the devices off the streets without relying on federal authorities. All this would do is just mirror what the federal law does so that our law enforcement officers inside the state would have the ability to do something about it themselves without having to call ATF in. So seems funny. They worry about a Glock switch, but they ain't worried about, the most common weapon in school shootings, which are the AR-15 platform. I don't know. How do y'all feel about this? Just sure, a Glock switch. Maybe say again.
It can't hurt to ban the Glock switch. I don't feel.
Yeah, but why aren't they worried about the AR platform? You know what I mean?
Well, you know why? It's because all their constituents have AR-15s.
So to me, it's just
It's up there with bump stocks. You ban them this and bump stocks, and you should also just classify a assault rifle as an assault rifle.
Yeah. Some folks are out there believe that I swear they believe that all weapons of war should be available under the Second Amendment, and there's literally guides out there on how to make a nuclear bomb at your house. So,
I need a flamethrower because of reasons.
Those are legal, except in California. I don't think California.
I thought Maryland it was also illegal.
No, you can have that. I want a mortarized backpack system where I carry a mortar, and I'm just like a human mortar, like in Warhammer 40K style.
Nope. You can in Maryland they're banned.
What, mortars or flamethrowers?
Flamethrowers.
Oh, Maryland, get your shit together. So, next up, overtime tax exemption ending. Don't count on it coming back. In 2023, lawmakers passed a bill to exempt overtime pay from the state income tax, but that exemption may go away this summer. The bill by House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels, Democrat Huntsville, was endorsed by the Republican majority as a way to help workers keep more of their pay and to help employers struggling to find workers. Ivy held a ceremonial bill signing at the Hyundai plant in Montgomery, and the law took effect January 1st, 2024. Lawmakers put an expiration date on June 30th, 2025 in the bill because of concerns of how much the tax exemption would reduce public school funding. Oh, really? When the bill passed, the Legislative Fiscal Office estimated the exemption would reduce income tax receipts to the Education Trust Fund by a minimum of $34 million. A report from the Alabama Department of Revenue shows the impact far exceeded the minimum, reducing income tax receipts by $261 million in January through November of last year. Daniels has said the loss of income tax dollars will be partly offset because workers who benefited from the exemption have more to spend, and those purchases boost sales tax revenue. But the Department of Revenue has said the offset would be at the most $24 million. Gudger said he supports the idea of employees being able to keep more of what they earn, but he said the loss of funds to education make it likely the Senate will support letting the exemption expire. Daniel said he will propose a bill that would extend the exemption another year that would authorize a study to analyze the impact of the exemption. Daniel cited numbers from the U.S. Department of Labor that showed 43,000 more people are working in Alabama than 12 months ago. Ledbetter, who was a co-sponsor of the bill, said he expects more discussion and information before lawmakers decide what to do. I don't think any of us thought it would cost as much money as it did. The speaker said he was open to the idea of discussing a deeper study. We'll continue the conversation. Department of Revenue said almost 1.4 million taxpayers received the overtime tax exemption from January through November, an average benefit of $191 for each. Now, so there's only about 2.5 million workers in Alabama, and 1.4 million of them are working overtime. Don't sound lazy to me, does it? But yeah, maybe if they don't, how about you don't build those prisons? Maybe you can save some money. Spending, it's going to be $6-ish billion for those prisons, at least by the end of it. So yeah, here's another FUBAR situation. Medical marijuana, no end to the battle in sight. 2021, the legislature passed a bill to authorize an intrastate medical marijuana industry to make gummies and other products for patients who received a recommendation from a doctor. The law created the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission and capped the number of companies that could receive licenses to grow, process, and sell medical cannabis. Competition for the license is now tied up in court. Almost 4 years after the law passed, there are no products for patients. Ledbetter said he is not expecting legislation to try to end the stalemate, at least this year. When that passed, it was passed to let that board handle it. And I think that's what they need to do. Now, my question is, they still arresting folks for marijuana charges?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Although the Democrats, the state Democrats are trying to legalize recreational marijuana this year. They're going to introduce legislation to that effect. They've said, I was reading the news earlier today.
Yeah. I mean, it should be legal. You should be able to grow it at your house. You know, Senator Dave Sessions, a Republican from Montgomery, proposed a bill last year to increase the number of licenses, but it did not pass. Gudger said he expects another bill in the Senate this year, but does not know how much support there will be for revisiting medical marijuana, even though he said the public is ready for the issues to be resolved. People want to see it into it. They want to know, is this happening or is it not? Gudger said. And finally, in vitro fertilization, no new bills expected. Last year, in vitro fertilization providers in Alabama paused services after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos in storage and the legal statutes of unborn children in wrongful death cases. Patients and doctors have come to the State House to rally for legislation they said was needed to restore IVF services. The legislature moved quickly to pass a bill to provide immunity to clinics who feared the civil and criminal consequences of the court ruling. Clinics resumed services, but the immunity bill did not address the court ruling that said frozen embryos had the legal status of unborn children. Lawmakers said the bill was a temporary fix. For now, there is no indication they will revisit it this year. I think that's something we've got to wait and see what the federal government is going to do. I knew they were going to say that. Ledbetter said, I know Trump has been very adamant about it. He's been vocal about thanking Alabama for what they did to make sure that families could have children. Senator Katie Britt, along with Senator Ted Cruz, has proposed the IVF Protection Act, which would make states that ban IVF ineligible for Medicaid. Democrats in Congress also have an IVF bill. Gudger said if the issue comes up, he will consult with the two physicians in the chamber, Senators Tom Melson, Republican Florence, and Larry Stutz, Republican Sheffield. Melson sponsored the IVF immunity bill that passed last year. Melson said he does not plan to have a bill this year. Stutz sponsored another IVF bill last year. He opposed Melson's bill because he said the immunity it provided was too broad. Stutz, an OBGYN, said he has delivered many IVF babies and referred many patients to IVF services. He said he believes there are ways to improve regulations to help address the questions about unused embryos in storage. House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels, Democrat in Huntsville, said he will propose a bill to say embryos held in storage are not considered unborn children, the opposite view of the Supreme Court ruling. Daniels sponsored the same bill last year, but did not advance. Well, some reasonableness from some people up there, down there, I guess down there for us. But yeah. How y'all feeling about this legislative session?
Well, my priority is going to be trying to kill HB 67, which is the anti-trans bill that bans drag performances in front of school or kids, but it defines drag performance as, and I'm quoting from the bill, let's see, a performance in which a performer exhibits a sex identity that is different from the sex assigned to the performer at birth using clothing, makeup, or other physical markers. Now, the way that's written, that could apply to ordinary trans people just living their life and walking around, right?
Well, yeah, don't it apply to plays as well? What about movies? Like, can people watch Mrs. Doubtfire now? Like, like seriously, like it's just madness.
Yeah, but it's just the way it defines drag performer. You could interpret that as being a normal trans person wearing the clothing that matches your gender identity, wearing makeup and things like that.
What about my socks? Like me and my spouse, we both wear the same socks. How does that get classified?
I don't know. But my priority is going to be killing that bill. I think that that Altrac and the march is going to be focused on that as well. My state legislator is the one that proposed it, Scott Stothagen, and so I'm going to be contacting him on the 5th and asking him to say, you're bringing up the point that this bill is ambiguous and he should at least delay it for that reason.
Man.
Hopefully we can get that and not pass.
What do you think a doctor can get rid of faster, a Gudger or Stockhagen? I don't know. But yeah, Jolly Green Giant. Jolly Green Giant says guest teachers won't be able to dress up as characters in books either. This is going to backfire horribly.
Yeah, I know exactly. If you dress up, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Abby, Violet, y'all got any thoughts on HB 67?
Well, I already spend most of my time either completely hiding my identity or not hiding it and being terrified and looking over my shoulder the whole time. So I am not exactly, I'm not saying I'm not concerned about it, but my material daily reality is probably not going to shift a whole lot either way. Unless, they do start using it specifically to arrest trans people for being trans.
Yeah. Violet?
Once again, I like last time, I'm like semi-conscious at this point. I had an hour of sleep today.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
We're wearing you out. We're sorry. Yeah. Well, this February 5th, if you're able, folks are meeting down in Montgomery, talk about HB 67 and any other bill, you want to talk about, or bills that ain't there yet, So, and tomorrow, Alabama Arise. If you look them up, you can find that they're having a legislative preparation at about 6 o'clock, I think. So, and there's other organizations out there that are also preparing, like the ACLU. And bullying works, folks. So start getting ready to get hot on your phone, hot on them emails, asking other people to call and write, and showing up where you can. So yeah, it'll be about, little 30-day sprint. They're about 30 days in office, I think, and then they take a break. But yeah. So anybody got any final thoughts? Morgan, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah. Keep growing those communities, and knowing that don't get fractured, and the people you're up against are the rich. That's purely what the problem is.
That's right. You spitting it. Jason, you got any final thoughts?
Don't sleep on contacting your legislator. So the session starts Wednesday the 5th. Make sure if you can't be in Montgomery that day for the march and to talk to them, at least give them a call or write them a letter. I used to be very down on the idea of like, oh, they're Republicans, they're not going to listen anyway. But Altrac has really shown me how effective that can be as a tactic. And they have had great success delaying and even killing very bad bills that were coming through in the last session. So I want to urge you to contact your legislator this week when the session starts. Ask them to vote against HB 67. Look up Allison and look through the bills that are coming through, and let them know what you think about each one.
Yeah, there's about 141 of them coming through. So, yeah, and remember, folks, they start in the committees. You can stop in the committees, stop them there. Don't let them get to the floor. Abby, you got any final thoughts?
Just this has been fun.
Awesome. I'm very happy to have y'all here. This is I think this is your first time, and I hope to have you here again for sure. In between you working on them hours down there.
Awesome.
And can't wait to see you again in the book club that Violet's running for us on Hammer and Hoe. If y'all haven't read that book, please pick it up. It's outstanding. And Violet, you got any final thoughts? Our book club leader.
If I try to think of something, it'll take a while.
It's all right, sister. You good. Hey, it's I don't. You're talking complete sentences with an hour of sleep, so I salute you on that. So with that, folks, this has been Cornbread and Roses. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the comments. Let us know if we said something dumb, something funny, or you got some more information for us. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, all the power to all the people. We the people break our chains together. Much love, solidarity forever, y'all.
Solidarity forever.
Solidarity forever. Peace out.